guess this is a segment that we can talk a little bit about what all life is made of. And of course in the background you can look back and see where we've come from today. Annie and I from Manhattan, the Twin Towers there. We're on Staten Island at the moment. The ferry usually comes in over here because Annie and I drove today here. So I thought perhaps it might be nice for us to talk a little bit about what all life is composed of. I noticed actually that we're standing in front of this wrought iron fence, and we can see a little bit of rust on the fence. This iron, actually, people might be surprised to know that this iron actually was biologically transmutated from bacteria to make the iron bauxite that this fence is made out of. People might be surprised to know actually that your car and all the metal, for the most part, the iron has really come about as a result of biological transmutation occurring of bacteria producing that iron bauxite, and then of course the iron bauxite being smelted into iron. So you might be surprised to know that all life really is composed of inanimate minerals, and that this is an inanimate mineral actually, and that life is actually composed of inanimate minerals that's smaller than 600,000th of an inch small. The plants and all living material around us is all made out of these colloids, which are inorganic minerals, which are smaller than 600,000th of an inch small, can be smaller than a wavelength of light. These are the very building blocks of DNA. And people might be surprised to know that all of the living things on the earth that's above a fungi, which that's us, and everything that's living on the earth that's above a fungi, would account for one period in the unabridged Webster's Dictionary in relation to all the life that exists on the earth. Most of all the life that exists below the level of a cell, and all this life would be every single letter in the unabridged Webster's Dictionary. So that's a lot, huh? That's a lot of life that exists below the level of a cell. Most people would be surprised to discover that actually a colloid is a building block of a spore, which is a virus, and a spore and a virus is a building block of a bacteria, and a bacteria's shell hardens and becomes a mold, and then that mold, that hardened bacteria shell, grows in colonies and becomes a fungus, and then that culminating advanced form comes out of the fungus, and that's a yeast. Yeast is the culminating advanced form. So people might be surprised to discover actually that these things are all related to each other, and that the plants absorb these the cytoplasm, which has colloidal minerals in the cytoplasm of bacteria. The plant absorbs the cytoplasm of the bacteria, absorbs these minerals into itself, incorporates it into itself, and then it's possible, if this plant is brought in a living state, that it's possible for us to get the benefit of those colloidal minerals which our body is composed of. So underneath the microscope, when you look at these, all of the minerals, which actually, I can feel a little bit of a wind right now, and if you blow a stream of air against your hand, you can feel something being, you can feel something. These are actually particles that you can feel. These are colloidal particles that you can feel, because if you were skydiving, you could be kind of really feel such a bed of these particles that they could actually practically suspend you, and you could go at a 45-degree angle if you were free falling through these particles. You could go at either at a up to about 220 mile an hour, or you could, in a delta dive where you kind of like were like this in the air, or you could go more into a relaxed frog and you're meeting these particles, and you could slow your rate of descent down to about 120 mile an hour. And so it's these particles actually that exist. If we had a darkened room and we had a beam of sunlight, you would see these little particles. They like to join into strings. These are light colloids, and that's what everything is made of. So it is amazing that even the metal of the fence actually came about as a result of bacteria biologically transmutating elements into iron. And in chemistry, in nutrition, in physics today, people may not really have heard yet about biological transmutation. And that is the ability that we have within ourselves, and biology has, to transmutate one element into another at the level of the protons, combining protons at the level of the nucleus to make to make other elements. So calcium can be potassium, a couple potassium atoms plus some hydrogen can make calcium. Basically, these protons are added up or subtracted and to make new elements, basically. And so we have a force within us that biologically transmutates things. People may not really be getting their full supply of minerals and that sort of a thing, may never really have got the full supply of minerals, and yet we've been able to biologically transmutate one element into another, and we do this quite a bit in our body, and this is actually what is really happening in nature as well. This transmutation of one element into another occurs with heat, under extreme heat and pressure, and it also can occur in a nuclear kind of energy as well. And in biology, this occurs at room temperature inside ourselves. We have the ability to transmutate manganese into iron, magnesium into calcium, calcium into potassium, sodium into calcium, and oxygen into sulfur, and so on. This is really what is happening in this dance of life. It is so amazing, the process of life. Anyway, I hope that the little things that we have said here about life being composed of inorganic minerals has sparked your interest to learn a little bit more, and the realization of how connected we are to everything. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this segment, and we'll be right back.
And welcome back to the Universe Inside Our Mind. We're enjoying a wonderful, wonderful tea beverage here, a chai tea.
A chai tea we just made.
That's absolutely delicious. It's got ginger in it and cardamom.
Honey, cardamom, little Celtic sea salt, and actually we used warm water for this, so we really warmed it up. Ginger is so amazing. That's one of the major herbs, actually. If you go to a Chinese practitioner, ginger is probably one of the most prescribed herbs. I didn't want to use that word prescribed, but I guess is that prescribed, do they?
Why not? They recommend it.
They recommend it.
It's very good for circulation and really good for the winter months, keeping you warm.
It's so amazing for your tummy. But now what we're going to do is we're going to make a electrolyte lemonade, right?
Ooh, this is our favorite healing beverage that's absolutely essential for the 14-day nutritional fast.
So we're going to start by bringing in some charged water, which if you would love to copy down the number at the end of the show here, it's possible to call that number and get hold of a book on how to go about making charged water.
Yeah, we've written a wonderful recipe book on it.
This is charged water, which is like structured water. Go ahead, we'll put the lemons in.
Okay, these are peeled lemons. We just took the yellow part off, and we're leaving the white part on because these bioflavonoids help us, you know, deal with the vitamin C that's inside of it.
And there's a lot of flavonoids in the white of the lemon.
We're going to put a whole pear in because it gives it a really beautiful texture, a wonderful body.
See, seeds and all.
You can do seeds and all with a good blender like this, the Vitamixer.
Yeah, it is really amazing unit.
Okay, and David's got his really raw honey here, which he adores. We're going to put a nice amount of honey in to sweeten it up so it's not too tangy. We're going to put some Celtic sea salt in this as well. You'll notice we put Celtic sea salt in a lot of our beverages. It really helps with digestibility. This is sun-dried ocean water, where every living thing lives in the ocean, right? And a lot of the salt that they get today, all of the table salt, comes from Dead Seas or the Salt Lake, which has absolutely nothing living in it. So the living salt is like an amazing nutrient, a wonderful food. And we're going to put, what, about a quarter teaspoonful in there?
I'll put a bit more than a quarter of a teaspoon, actually.
Put a nice little douse in there.
You know, we have some propolis here, which is really the blood of the trees, the sap of the trees that the bees collected. We're going to put a little propolis in here because that helps really pick up the life value of this beverage.
It's optional, but it really is wonderful because it's a natural antibiotic, isn't it?
We're going to put some coconut in here as well.
Okay, this is coconut butter. This comes from Omega Flow, and there's only a couple companies that make a really high-quality coconut oil. Omega Flow is one of them. It's a living, cold-pressed coconut butter.
Is that it, Annie?
I think that's it. If you wanted to, you could put more ginger in it.
Put a little ginger in there.
You could put a little cayenne if you wanted to, but this is your basic recipe.
And you put a pear in here. You could choose a piece of fruit, you know, to change the flavor a little bit. You could put less honey in. You could just sweeten it with a little fruit if you love. You could put stevia, which is a very sweetening herb, which if you did not want to use sugar at all. So we've got this turned down low. And we're ready to turn this on now?
That's planned. You can blend it on high for about 2 minutes. Amazing beverage. This is what we put most people on who are on recovery programs from different ailments, especially AIDS and, you know, degenerative diseases where they need to get their nerve functioning back. This has what we call a modified citrus pectin,
which has been shown in research that helps block metastasizing and this sort of thing for people who have neoplastic cells and that. This is a major part of our program actually for cleansing and that. And it's amazing because the coconut that we brought into this is going to allow a lot of these nutrients to be absorbed through lacteal ducts, you know, in the villi of our intestinal tract, which absorbs more lymph and fats and things, and this is going to bypass the liver. So it is really amazing. And it is delicious.
It's a healing food, and it's a delicious beverage for a hot, sunny day, or add a little ginger to it, and it'll warm you up in the winter time. It's an amazing beverage to have in the fridge. So we check it out. It's really good.
Incredible.
The oil in it makes it just very, very creamy. It's wonderful. So anyway, check it out. This is called the Electrolyte Lemonade. If you need to find out more information about it or how to make these kind of foods yourself, we have a recipe book. There's a couple other recipe books out on the market about